From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief technologist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have RJ Taylor with me, and we're going to talk lots about those two letters, AI. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The SDM show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I have my guest, Mr. RJ Taylor, with me. Hey RJ, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. At the time of this record, we're bearing down on Christmas just a little bit. It won't come out till after. I was saying to you, we've actually got snow on the ground this morning, and you were saying you're like 60 degrees and warm. How's that for
Yeah,
contrast, eh?
I know. I hope it makes a hard turn. We like a snowy Christmas, but right now the kids are out on their bikes riding around, and we'll take it until it
Mm.
turns.
So you and I, we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and we thought we'd dive into the two dreaded letters in marketing, as I call them right now, AI, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny. I was at a and anybody who thinks AI hasn't gone mainstream, look at what the youth are doing. We were at a family gathering about 3 weeks ago, and my partner's niece looked at me and said, "Have you seen the new photos coming out of Google? Gemini 3 had just come out."
Hmm.
And some of these pictures of humans are getting more and more realistic by the day. And she's
Yes.
showing me the images around the table, and this is a lady who works in the medical field, so
Uh,
this is not her gig, unlike you and I that are immersed in this, and
yeah.
it's becoming more mainstream by the day. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Well, I mean, it's amazing actually in the last year how much things have advanced. On the technology side, it's like every week there's some sort of new technology capability emerging, and that's all been interesting for marketers and in the digital space.
Mhm.
But we do this kind of pulse survey out to consumers. I've been doing it for four
Yeah.
years. Every quarter, I ask consumers do they use AI? How willing are they to engage with AI? With AI generated images. And last quarter, 85% of people said, yes, I'm using AI for personal or work use on a daily or weekly basis.
Mhm.
85%, and that is up from 45% just 6 months prior. So there's this huge adoption curve, like spike. And
Yeah.
so consumers are saying, hey, we're using it already. And then therefore we're okay with brands or marketers now trying to use it. So I think that the other thing I saw someone branded it the reverse Turing test. And you're
Mhm.
probably familiar with the Turing test, but like now we're in this like reverse Turing test world where images are almost too perfect or words
Yeah.
are too perfect. And so everyone's like, that's AI. And so like, well, what if it's just like well-written copy or beautifully taken photograph? Now everyone's like accusing it of AI as if that's a bad thing. So we're in this weird like turning point where
Mhm.
consumers are saying, yeah, we're good with it. Brands are trying to figure out how to use it without getting kind of called out. And then the
Yeah.
technology is just getting better and better. So it's kind of a weird inflection point for everyone.
It's funny you mentioned pictures, and that's always been contention. People look at people who take great pictures and said, "What
Mhm.
postcard did you grab it off? What did you? Where
Yeah.
did you?" I have. We were reminiscing a little bit about Niagara Falls, and I have a really amazing picture that I took off the Skyline Tower. I did this, probably 15 years ago. So my
Mhm.
camera wasn't what I have today. It was
Yeah.
like a 3 megapixel, whatever
Mhm.
was out then. I don't even remember the brand.
Yeah.
And I took the picture, and and there's a rainbow in the background. and the
Mm.
Maid of the Mist in front of the Rainbow Bridge, and everybody looks at me and says that's a postcard. So this kind of talk has
Yeah.
been going on for years because I honestly think people are jealous of those who can take really good photos or do really good copy. So they
Yeah.
always say, instead of dealing with their own insecurities, oh, you couldn't have done that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it's interesting. On top of that, like
Yeah.
you see the counter trend going on with like
Mhm.
the people moving to flip phones, people the
Yeah.
spike in Polaroid cameras, which are taking really poor,
Mhm.
grainy photos, or even those like disposable cameras are now back. Return to vinyl, independent bookstores are now back and thriving. So it's this
Yeah.
interesting like kind of counter trend because everything's getting too perfect, or the what you're just describing there, like, oh, it sounds too perfect. We work with customers on AI generated content, and it's funny, we created some samples for a customer, and these samples were on a cruise ship. And the the creative team was like, those look a little too perfect. Like, on a cruise ship, the railing that goes around the
Yeah.
edge, the railing is normally used, and so it's like a little like you can see kind of like they were talking about the railing behind the models wearing the clothes.
Mhm.
Railing should be a little bit more worn. And I was like, for the sake of argument, wouldn't if the railing was worn, wouldn't you Photoshop it so that it looked pristine and shiny? And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we would. So it's like we're in this. It's a weird place, I think. Like,
It is, and I don't think the consumer buys perfection all the time. So one of the things I don't know if you and I have talked about, but I do with this show is I don't do a lot of editing. And
yeah,
people look at me and say, "Why not?" And I said, honestly, I like the realism,
yeah,
and a perfect interview isn't reality. So I
yeah,
just don't do it. I don't do it.
yeah.
Now, that said, I do use AI to generate the show title, the show notes, the show headline. There's no, listen, it saves me hours.
Sure.
I can take the recording, and I'll share this with you because you're an AI expert. Convert it to an audio very quickly
Hmm.
after I brand it. So I add like headers and trailers and a welcome and a thank you and stuff like that. And then once I got it together, I convert it to an audio. And the
Yeah.
first thing I do is I take that audio and I upload it to Notebook LMN, Google's product, and just be done
Hmm.
with it. The cool thing with LMN is it's a good one. It
Hmm.
gives me a show summary very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there's my show summary. There's my show title.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then I take the text, clean out stuff I don't want in it. I feed it into Gemini and say, generate me some show notes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's done. The total time to do that is 15 minutes, not
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
There's the savings, right?
Yeah. And you didn't have to send it off to a studio or to a third party to do it. It's, the question is like that you're sort of implicitly asking is where is the value? And
Yep.
the value is in the conversation, it's in the thought, it's in the
Yep.
ideas, it's
Yep.
in the personality. I mean, you are the value, like just
Yep. No
the
question.
connection with the audience, that type of stuff. So whereas the production, um, I don't know. Well, actually, I'm curious, like if at what point does that not become valuable? If I can, like, like at what point would you say, hey, I've got 10 million listeners to this podcast, and I'm sponsored by all the biggest brands. Would you still do it that way? Like, or
Yes.
would you would? Yeah.
Yeah, I would. And I don't take sponsorship. And one of the reasons I don't is I want open creativity and I don't want a sponsor telling me what I can say and what not to say.
There you go. Right.
So I made a decision long time ago. I was
Huh.
going to do it for the business and I wasn't going to take any sponsorship because I want creative control. Very
Yeah.
simple.
There you go. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well, back to the full value. Yeah, I actually think that presents a challenge. One of the things that I've, worked in marketing for 22 years, and so many marketers are like, we're about the brand and we're
Yeah.
about our brand strategy. And it's funny because I'll say, hey, do you have a brand guide? and like 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, "Oh, our brand guide, we've been working on
Mm,
it, but it's not done." So it's like if we are truly about the brand, that's the differentiation. We have to really invest in the brand, and all these AI tools are execution elements. They're arms that can extend the brand, but like we as
mhm.
humans get really good at like, what is our brand differentiation? What's our personality? What do we stand for? Those types of
Yeah,
things are going to be crucial, and if you don't have a differentiation, then AI is going to eat it, So
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
a lot of copycats out there, and AI allows you to do that. So anyway, I think
yeah. And before, and as we move on, the other thing we gotta be really careful of is let's not blame AI for the misuse of AI. So I'm going to give you an example.
hmm
A couple of weeks ago, there was a 17-year-old in Calgary, Alberta, charged with using AI to make child porn.
Oh, uh-huh.
And everybody jumped in and said, that's AI's fault. AI
Oh,
shouldn't have allowed this. And I'm like, no, I always argue that AI is a tool, the web is a tool, email is a tool, and the
mm-hmm.
misuse of any of these tools is because of the personality, not the tool.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Where do
tell you
you
what,
where do you
yeah.
sit on that?
Oh,
I'm gonna put you on the spot because I am.
yeah. I mean, I I do think that there should be safeguards within the tech that would
Yeah.
prevent things. So, like, I listened to another podcast about these LLMs that are serving as sort of mental health counselors.
Hmm.
And the individual is, the person using it is, I'm going to summarize whatever, speak out of turn, whatever, but like, the individual ended up harming themselves. And so the question is did the AI not stop them from doing it? But like, there are examples of human counselors or if you call the 1-800 I need helplines, who people end up hurting themselves after that as well. So,
Yeah.
but the people, the humans, and the counselors are, they have a duty of care. They have to report things at appropriate times, and I think the same safeguards should be required of any tech, especially if people are harmed. I mean, in a pornography or child pornography situation, or someone's going to be harmed and harming themselves or harming
Yeah.
others. There should be and certainly the tech can do it. Um,
Yeah.
that said, unfortunately, I think you're right. People are going to use the tools in the way they want to use them, and we are going to find gaps in those safeguards, but they should be closed. So, I, I, but then there's like the over-regulation component to it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's maybe why I'm not a politician. But
Me either. I was thinking today going in this call, I was having this conversation with a colleague. We all know as marketers what SEO is, search engine optimization.
Mhm.
And AI, because of AI, I think we have to look at some simple things a little more. And the conversation I was having yesterday is, did you bother to put in your alt tags for your images on your website? Yeah, I see that so much, but AI even more so. And
Yeah.
I went so far as to say to a client recently, we should rename all your images on your website. He's got them named, that stupid 2023.jpg dot
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And
Right.
he's a new client. And he said, but I have the alt tags in. And I said to him, no, because
Yeah.
of AI, you actually need to rename the file names too. So
Yes.
AI is changing a little bit. And these are like simple wins because AI for sure is mattering more and more every day, as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we see the same thing in the email inbox as
Yeah.
Gmail and other platforms are using AI to scan the emails, and it's long been known that image only emails are slow to render, can impact
Hmm.
deliverability, and convert less. But marketers are
Yeah.
just putting those things in the inbox. But the newest is that now with the AI summaries, the machines can't read it. And so it's creating a little card at the top of your inbox saying, hey, there's a 50% off sale off of sweaters or something like that. But if it can't read anything in it, it can't actually use that information to summarize, potentially impacting even how those emails rank in your own email inbox. So it's as if these new AI rules are forcing what we've always known to be best practice on marketers and people who are willing to do that work, or going to be rewarded for it effectively. But it's forcing like the discipline that we should have had all in the first place. So
Yeah.
inbox, all the SEO stuff. I mean, it, it is yet another thing that marketers are responsible for.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's funny, but it's true. I think um where people fall short is they're all panicking. Oh, we have AI, we're going to have a job loss, the industry's going to shift.
Yeah.
I think the industry has already shifted, so let's already go there. It's
Yeah.
happening.
Yes.
The job loss, I don't buy
Hmm.
because if you're an avid reader, we all remember when the printing press was developed before I was alive, before you were alive. And without the printing press, we wouldn't have mass production of books.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think AI is doing the same thing in the digital realm. I don't see a job loss coming personally.
Yeah, I don't either, and I think it kind of goes back to like what is the job? We talk a lot to. It's funny. I always talk to marketers, and I'm like, what is your job? And they'll say like, well, I'm the strategist that whatever, and I design the creative ideas and that type of stuff. And
Yeah.
then I say I present technology that removes the manual labor in reporting or the manual labor in creating the report that they block their Friday from 12 to 4 to produce each week. And they're like, no, 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 I do that. Or like, no, no, I'm the person that does that manual work. And I think the type of work that we're going to be doing is very, very different. And it's like kind of ironic that the customer, like the marketers want to keep kind of their hands on keyboard doing the manual work because it feels like I'm checking off a checklist. But I do think our ideas, the brand strategy, the creative, all that stuff is actually what's going to be measured in a new way. And so I think the job changes, but I don't think it. I don't believe in that either. It's more efficiency, but also more accountability on the individual. I do
Yeah.
see some shift, by the way, in the standards to start. That's where I
Yep.
see
I agree.
shift that like hiring an intern in the past to do some of the manual work, it's not something that we're doing. We're still hiring interns, but we're hiring interns who know how to use these AI tools. Or like entry level jobs where it might be a grunt work role is no longer, I think, going to be a grunt work role. It's going to be, in fact, I think some like college students or young people who have kind of grown up with these native tools as native things have a big advantage. So I think it's a shift. I don't think it's job loss. And I think that
The only thing we have to be careful of in the jobs, and I see it a lot in coding. A lot of people say, "Oh, AI is doing a lot of coding," but if we don't train the youth or the people coming up at the bottom end, how do they get the experience to be at the top end? And the
yeah,
question is, are we going to end up in a problem in 5 or 6 years where
yeah,
we don't have enough expertise that's growing because they didn't have a foundation to come from? That's my only question. And I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, it's like so. I'm pretty involved in where I went to college. I went to DePauw
Yes.
University, and I go back every semester, meet with students. We hire interns from there. I teach a class, and I think that some of the curriculum that I'm seeing within the schools has not been updated to account for it. So I think that the universities that are um, adopting some new curriculum will enable those students, but I do think that like some of the universities aren't always, or some of the classes or professors are not adapting to it. So it's because they're thinking, oh, we don't want to use AI, or AI is not going to write the paper or whatever. Like, I'm not sure all the places I stand there. I was an English major, so I want people to suffer and write a paper till 3 in the morning, um,
Yeah.
but it's a funny one because I do think that the curriculum and then the responsibility and the training of those young people, and as a dad, I'm asking the same questions of how to make sure that my kids are ready for the workforce when
Hmm.
they grow up. It's tricky. So
It is. I think what has served me well, and I'm 58 and you're older too, so I get that. And I'm not picking on you, by the way. So
It was my birthday yesterday. Come on, Rob.
no, yeah, my partner's 60, so I'm really not picking on you. So there you go. But the point I'm making is, I think what serves people like you and I well, who are in fields like this, is we keep learning.
Yeah,
And I said to my father, my late father was a lifelong learner. He always learned every day. I learn every day. I've
yeah,
got a book on my nightstand every day. I read every night before I go to bed. I read probably a book every week and a half all year,
yeah.
and I'm forever keeping myself to update. And I think we're in that type of world where things change. When I got into technology, I originally, and I'll share the story, I was programming on mainframe terminals a long
Whoa.
time ago.
Wow.
I was an old school COBOL program. I got stories I can tell you. And then
Wow.
I got into support, and I was doing support for one of Toronto's biggest hospital, Ontario's biggest hospitals.
Uh-huh.
And when I started, things were changing every 6 months to a year. When I left, things were changing every week. And we're at the point where things are changing every day. It's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
One of the impacts I've been reading about, have you seen what memory chips are doing in the US
No.
for
Mm-mm.
clocks right now? They've all gone sky high because all the AI brands are buying the higher end chips
Oh,
for AI for either machines or video cards or stuff like that. So the average chip that goes in a laptop or PC, they're not producing as much. So this cost to them have almost like tripled, all
wow.
because of AI. It's
Yeah.
just the impacts. Look at Nvidia stock.
Yeah.
I
I
was
know.
looking at Nvidia last night and I just said, where the
Yeah.
hell did this come from? Like,
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Growing up, I always was told, you become like you go to college. I went to grad school, and then you have like your
yeah,
profession, you know.
yeah.
And again, like looking at the question of like, do you need to go to college anymore to have a
Yes, you
successful
do.
career, or do you just become, do you follow that natural curiosity into becoming an expert in learning effectively, versus like becoming an expert in a certified and like a trade or a skill, and then that's it that you do for the rest of your life. It's very different. And that's actually where like a liberal arts education does come in, which is interesting.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the whole idea of like, how do you teach people how to learn, be curious, et cetera. And, as you get older, or as I've gotten older, I'm the same way. I like to learn new stuff. I like to try new things. I think it's really creative. But I have a lot of friends who are like, nope, this is what I do, and I don't want to change it. I became an expert in this, and I want to sort of work in the work hours, and then outside of the work hours, I want to go and use my free time as I want to use my free time. But I'm finding that the people who are using some of that free time to educate themselves in whatever way are actually the people that are able to stay ahead of the job market. So I don't know. I'm not advocating for like work all the time, but I do think that the winners in this fast-paced world are staying on top of all the changes. And I don't know how you get your actual work done as well as get educated on the new stuff. And that's actually, sorry, that's a good point, Rob. Like market or like companies hire
Yes.
marketers to do work. And then it's like you also need to learn all these new tools and learn all this new capability. It's like, but what part of my day am I supposed to actually get all my work done and then go do all the stuff? So it's kind of like
You have to build it
I
into
hate
your
to say
workday.
that. Yeah.
I take my schedule, and if you looked at my Google Calendar, first of all, my partner Tiz would tell you it looks like a Crayola coloring book, honest to God, because I color code everything. But
Yeah.
if you look at it, there's time built in on my schedule,
Yeah.
believe it or not, for education. I build it right into my work
That's
life.
good.
The same way a business owner has to build business development time in. They're all the facets of running a business. So you have to build it into your work schedule. End of story. And those who don't do it
Yeah.
are going to be left behind sooner or later.
Yeah, I think you're right, Rob. And actually that's a smart way to do it. I've never
Yep.
done what you're describing. Like I find that client work bleeds over or this meeting bleeds over, but like
Oh
holding
yeah.
fast, is important. Even just putting on the calendar to recognize you should do it might be a good
Yeah. Yeah.
good.
I am. it's funny when we talk about this, and then we'll move on. When we talk about school and us both going to school, I am a college grad in Canada. And the college I went to, I go back every year because I've stayed in touch with the faculty, and I do a talk for graduating students. And basically, the premise of the talk, and the title's changed over the years, and the material a little bit is the learning starts the day you walk out with your
Yeah.
diploma, not when you walked into the school.
Yeah, that's good.
And your job career in today's market is going to pivot 3 to 4 times at least.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the premise. And I look at mine, I was telling you, I started as a COBOL programmer. I ended up in tech support. And for the last 16 years, I've run my own agency. And I can tell you, my own agency has pivoted a couple of times in that too. So I've
yeah.
probably pivoted 5 to 6 times in the last 30 years, whether I want to admit it or not.
Yeah, I love that, Rob. I mean, it's a smart lesson. I wonder how many students come back 2 years later and say, "Hey, Rob, remember you were right." Like, do you get any of those
Yeah.
messages from the students?
A lot. I get a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
And
it.
it's funny, I do the talk for an hour, and the thing is, and I graduated in 1988, so a while ago, and I've
Yeah,
been doing it for years. I do talk for an hour, and I'm usually still sitting around talking to people 3 hours
yeah,
later
yeah. I
because
get it.
these guys want to learn and they want to get ahead and they want to be successful, and it's all and part of being success, I hate to say it, even in the AI world, is failing a few times, not getting there, not having it easy,
Yeah,
having it bombed out, having to reinvent. That's
yeah,
part of it too.
yeah. You're totally right.
Um, as we move on, wanted to jump in. So you spend time in the AI world, lots of it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
What is the strength of your agency, and kind of tell me a little bit about that and where you guys kind of focus with your clientele?
Sure. Yeah. So my company is called Backstroke. And
Yep.
I grew up swimming in high school and college. I still swim.
Okay.
That's why I call it Backstroke. And backstroke.com
Mm,
was available
that's
for a
awesome.
price I could afford. So, but what we do is we generate email and text messaging programs for people. So we work with brands like Third Love, like Cozy
Mhm.
Earth, like e-com brands
Who
that,
doesn't know Cozy Earth? I mean,
yeah, it's
they're
great.
on every podcast under the sun, right?
Yeah, they're a great brand. They're a great partner, and all of the brands we work with want to figure out how to really invest in brand and strategy and move the execution of creating those campaigns that you get that offer discounts or new product introductions or new colors to Backstroke. So we generate a variant of a campaign for each person on their list so that everyone's getting the message that they want to receive in the style and the way that they want to do that. And if you did it with a human, it would take days or months to generate that content. But now with all the AI tools, we can understand the AI-driven propensity for purchase, as
Yeah.
well as then what content to put where and generate it in just a few minutes. So that's
Yeah.
what,
There's a couple things that come to mind, what I want to dive into. One is you need to know your numbers. You need to know your analytics.
yep,
I don't know how many times in the last 6 months, and even recently as last week, I've met with a business owner that says my campaigns don't work. And I say to them, okay, what are your numbers? I don't know. I hear that way too much. And I'm sure you've heard that
oh
story
yeah,
every day of the week. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
The
yeah,
second thing is, and a company like Cozy Earth will get this, you got to segment your campaigns. You
yes,
cannot send campaigns out to 50,000 people because if they're irrelevant, they're a waste of time.
right. Yeah,
What,
people are.
what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a number of ways to do it. Based on browsing, active on
Yeah.
site behavior, et cetera. But then there's also
Mhm.
demographic information that can be used, like how old you are,
Yeah.
what products you bought in the past, as well as like even you can see if somebody has an iPhone versus an Android, so you can
Yep.
create a variant of the copy or the campaign that renders best for that experience. So, personalization has always been the dream of marketing. I started in email marketing 22 years ago. So I'm going
Oh,
to pull
yeah.
a
Yeah.
marketing card on you, Rob. And it was right after Can Spam had come out in the US and
Yeah.
2000. before. And so I worked at Exact Target and then at Salesforce as a part of the Marketing Cloud after they acquired our platform. And we've always talked about generating email or creating email that's personalized. The problem is there's not enough content. And it took so much work and so many hours and so much logic to get either the content created and then assembled for each of the different audiences. And so marketers are like, yeah, we'll just send everything out to everybody, just like you were saying there, like a batch and blast, which is kind of the bad word in email land. But now with all the generative AI capabilities, you can create variants of the content as well as you can assemble mass variants of emails in a campaign. You can use AI propensity models to figure out who to send the content to, and then use the machine to generate the variant. So it's like the same thing you're talking about the creation of your podcast. It's like
Yeah.
the core that is the offer and the content and those great blankets from Cozy Earth.
Mhm.
Those haven't changed. It's the work around it. Is how do we actually market it into the right people and in the right ways that are going to convert them, and then also not market to the people who are not in the market to not
Mm.
annoy them and degrade the brand. So it's kind of cool to have been in the space for this long to see the technology enable what marketers have always wanted it to do. So the promise of one-to-one personalization has been something we've been talking about for literally 20 years. And now
Yeah.
you can, which is cool. So now we are testing the limits. Like, well, with the brand, like, do you want to generate variants of scenes? So if I know that you live in Canada and it's snowing right now, do I want to have a room with a window that's snowy? Versus Indiana, where I live, it's sunny. So, like, should I generate a variant of the outside scene because I know where you live and what it looks like? Does that even matter? Does that drive
Yeah.
performance? Well, we can quickly test it because we can generate. So
Yeah.
there are limits that we will find from a brand perspective and also a legal perspective or
Yeah.
what's right or morally or ethically right as well. So that's
Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. And it's even more of a problem depending on the industry. I mean,
yes,
there's some industries, for example, cannabis. I'm not in that industry, thank God, but it's heavily regulated. Anything to do with guns in the US is heavily regulated.
yeah,
Anything to do with the legal adult industry is
yeah,
heavily regulated. I mean, and I'm
yeah,
not even talking about all the illegal stuff. I'm talking the legal.
yes,
And
yeah,
and that's the other issue in all this. And then the factor in is one thing we have to remember: mobile first. I don't care what anybody
yes,
says. I know the way I read my emails. My phone's sitting right here. I
yeah.
guarantee you, I read 90% of my emails on my phone, not even my iPad, on my phone.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's interesting because some people do what you're saying, which is mobile first, and then there's like kind of the two tap. So you might read it on the mobile device and then go to your desktop later. Um,
That's
uh,
what I do very often.
yeah, and so you have to honor both the mobile and the desktop view, or
Hmm.
maybe the desktop or the tablet view. So it's there's a lot of like rendering problems as well as strategy problems on how do you honor that subscriber who's on a different device to get them to convert. Rob,
Yeah,
playing the old man game here again. In 2007, when the iPhone came out,
yeah.
my claim to fame is that I was third in line to get an iPhone in Indianapolis. So
Oh wow.
you heard it first. So that's
I've had iPhones, and I'm so an Android guy.
oh
So
really? Oh
that's I'm a Pixel guy. I have been for a long time.
okay.
I work on a Windows machine. That said, I still think the iPad's the best tablet out there. So
See, okay, so you just described an interesting scenario. So if I'm working with an e-com brand who's trying to figure out how to get you to convert, now we have to think about Windows for
yep,
desktop render, Pixel, so an Android for a mobile view, and then you also have an iPad. So
I
like,
do.
how do you create a campaign
Yeah,
for somebody like you? You know, you're probably a high potential target for some e-com brands, and like,
yeah,
you're not an Apple shop or you're not a you're an interesting one. And that's
yeah,
something that marketers would say, like, throw it in the wash. We'll just go with the best practice and just hope it works. But actually we can use AI to honor your preferences. And the exact scenario that you just described, which is
Yeah.
something that most marketers would have said, let's not worry about that because it's not in the 80% or it's not in the
Yeah,
majority.
and e-com brands that don't do that lose with me because if it's not food, liquor, or Costco, or a dollar store, I'm probably doing 90% of my shopping on an e-commerce site. I can
Yes.
guarantee I am. I hate malls. I hate malls. And Tiz will tell you if I'm walking into a mall, I'm walking in for a restaurant or a movie.
There you
And
go.
or to deal with her while she's shopping. I'm not walking in for me.
Rob, as we talk
It's
more, I feel like we're more and more similar.
Yeah, it's a social truth. It's true. I was going to share with you. We're talking about all this email stuff. One of my mentors in the marketing game was the number one Infusionsoft reseller in Canada for many, many years.
Oh,
A guy by
wow.
the name of Paul Toby. He's an interesting story, but that's for another day. But one thing he taught more than the product, because he got out of Infusionsoft's now called Keep. They've gone through a pile of changes.
Mhm.
On the price point, they're at the high end. We don't know why. There's a billion and one other competitors out there right now.
Mm.
Um, but the one thing Paul taught was the system, how to lay out your email campaigns,
Yeah.
and you could apply it to anything. And I think one of the problems people have, even email marketers, is they're lazy. They do not put proper tagging in place in their sequences,
Mm.
so they don't know where people reside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Comments.
Yeah. Well,
You're lazy?
I mean, I think that I, you're trying to zing me on these, which I appreciate. They're good things.
No,
I
I'm
like
not.
no.
It's just
I think
coming.
no. I think that I think email marketers are. I'll tell you what. Email marketers are doing about 24 jobs at the same time.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
so, and so I think that we could call it lazy or we could call it, man, I've got a template and this thing works well enough. I just got to get the campaign out the door because my
Yeah,
merchandising person just told me that the discount changed from 25 to 30%.
I know.
And my boss just told me that we're out of the brown shirts. And I get, and everyone's like, why didn't get the thing? The other thing that's interesting about email marketers is there's always like the CEO's cousin who forwards the email and says, hey, I'm looking at this email on Lotus Notes on my, on my, on some, discontinued computer and it doesn't look good. So they'll
Yeah.
forward it to the CEO. So the CEO then bombs it back to the email marketer. The email
Oh
marketer's like,
yeah.
I'm just trying to get this thing out the door. So you can call it lazy, you can call it overwhelmed. I say it's
Mhm.
overwhelmed, and that's where I think the tech comes in. But I don't think that like lazy indicates like that they don't care. I think they do care. I think that they just have way too much to do. And
No, no, I agree with you. I had an organization at my agency, and I took it personally. I took a contract a couple days a week where I was managing a 60,000 email list for an internal organization in the medical field in Canada.
hmm
And I rewrote
yeah,
the entire way that they did their email marketing.
yeah,
They We were going through basically what's ADA compliance in the US and Canada, accessibility, being
yeah,
a government funded agency, they had to. Everybody forgets about email when accessibility is involved. Big
yeah,
mistake.
yeah.
We were going through did you test the stuff on a mobile phone or did you just send it? And the person that was there before used to
Right.
send stuff out for desktop only. No, no,
Yep.
no, no, no. And to add to complications, they were using Active Campaign at the time,
Mhm.
which is interface is so antiquated.
Mm.
I mean, the interface looks like something from 30 years ago. The UI is kind of, in my opinion, is outdated,
Mm.
and it's hard to do rendering. So they ended up changing products because I said you need to.
Yeah.
But there's just so many moving parts, and the problem is you were saying, oh, the church size went out or the color went out. Production, marketers, IT, and finance never talk to each
Right.
other until something blows up in their face.
Right.
And
Right.
then
Right.
it's always the marketer's fault.
Uh,
And
Right.
sales, by the way.
Yeah, I mean the marketer is the one who has to press send. So they're the ultimate accountability. But like there's so much revenue tied. It's sort of weird. It's like a conflict because so much revenue is
Yeah.
tied to email. And then they
Yeah.
often they understaff that role or they hire too junior or they outsource it to an agency. But there's so much criticality in the email marketing or just a CRM program. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting conflict because and then they're like literally tied to dollars and a lot of the brands that we work with they know like by noon on the 23rd of December they should make X dollars and then by noon on the 24th and they're looking at their returns every day especially
Mhm.
during this time and they're pacing it against last year to understand how are things working and so much of that is driven by emails reminder emails follow-up emails etc and so
Mhm.
I don't know. And then you get people who are concerned about one word in a subject line or
Yeah. Yeah.
one line or whatever that's they're holding up or halting the whole thing. Which I'm the CEO of my business. I understand I have brand standards, but you kind of just have to say like I trust you and let's go. Make sure you got somebody to trust. But this is all like
Yeah.
this is all like where we're making the case for AI because if we
Yeah.
can actually train the AI to know the rules, the standards, and then put those inputs in, we can allow the marketer to take a breath and do something really smart or creative rather than just like
Yeah.
only execute
Yeah.
under
You
pressure.
mentioned you mentioned and all that SMS marketing too, I believe.
Yeah.
And I do
Yep.
want to go there because I have personally a love-hate relationship with SMS
Oh yeah.
as a marketer and as
Yeah.
a consumer. So my
Yeah.
whole thing is if the brand says to me explicitly, we're going to send you SMS messages, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many brands do SMS marketing and don't explicitly tell their potential customers they're going to do that.
Yeah, I know it's really becoming a problem. And the problem is that SMS converts very well,
Yep.
but it also it can quickly degrade the brand itself because if you
Mhm.
oversend on the SMS side, I mean, you kind of get addicted to the performance of the SMS. And it's so easy relatively to send a 160 character message in comparison to constructing a full email. So there's a lot of time savings from a marketing
Yeah.
perspective. And then we see laws like in Texas in the United States, there's a new law where you actually have to register and you can be fined hundreds or thousands of dollars if you send a single text message, or certain places have hours that you're allowed to send messages or not send messages. So it's there's some legislation and rules and regulations, et cetera, but I think the brands that overuse or abuse their permission or the trust of their consumers ultimately lose.
Yeah.
You add SMS, also push notifications that come from apps or on your mobile device, those can also degrade. I think that overall there's like the permission rules are very, very clear
Yep.
in the
I
United
know
States.
there. Yeah.
And I think that you'll see more and more lawsuits that are going to come after marketers who are abusing that trust. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
sad because then it's going to cause a larger issue
For
across.
people like you and I who are doing it ethically. I
Yeah,
have to tell you, I'm the worst one to send push mobile notifications to because I turn them all off.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I went to I mean I'm a bad marketer from that standpoint. I actually turned all my push notifications off when I changed phones a year ago.
Yeah.
And the other thing I did, I removed all social media from my phone. I do
Oh,
not have any social on my phone at all. None.
great. Yeah, yeah. That's
My life is much better, I have to tell you.
well, I'm not an expert in psychology or whatever, but I do think that as a sample size of one, same deal. Like all those notifications. being always plugged in on top of being in front of a computer. I mean, it's
Oh
just
yeah,
it's overwhelming
yeah,
experience. So yeah, it's you got to get some rest somewhere. So I think it's smart
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
But then you become a harder
Um,
to target for a marketer. So
yeah. I
uh,
am. I am hard. I'm an awful marketer because I sit and I watch TV, and somebody will say to me, "What are the last 10 ads you watched?" And I say, "I can't tell you," because
uh
most of the traditional advertising doesn't even get
yeah,
my attention anymore. I just look at
yeah.
it and say, "Oh, this is bad. This is bad." I think the only ad going into Christmas that stands out on me, probably because I'm such a fan, is McDonald's is running a series of ads right now with the Grinch in Canada and US.
Oh,
The Grinch meals, the Grinch socks, the Grinch,
oh.
and I'm such a Grinch fan, so I always say, "Oh, it's a good ad," but
Oh,
probably because I'm a fan, right? And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
they nailed it
such a
there.
fan.
Funny.
Um, so if just looking to summarize, so if a client comes to you and they said they want to jump into email marketing with AI, what's the kind of things you walk them through to get them started?
Yeah, so I typically ask for three things. One is, can you share me your brand guide?
Yeah.
Um, and
And you
that
hear no to that a lot at the time, I'm
well, it
sure.
elicits a conversation, which is I'm trying to enter in, like, how do you define your brand? Sometimes they say we
Yeah.
just do it this way or whatever. So, second, let's look at your campaign calendar.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And then how do you brief in an email? Is it just like just say we're going to do this, or is there actually like a document that you use to say here we're going to create that content? With that, I can quickly understand where we're starting, and then meet them where they are because everybody's on a journey to a more sophisticated approach and you know plug in backstroke, but we can help generate those campaigns for them using those assets or help them to get to a place where we can do it. So but those three are typically the kind of the bedrock of the marketing program. The other thing I do is I normally have already subscribed to their email program, so I can go back and look
Yeah.
at their previous campaigns as notice what I can notice. But those three help us get started.
I'm gonna give a dirty little secret for marketers out there, especially in competitive organizations. I have a client of mine who is an independent jewelry store.
Oh,
Also one of my best friends, so caveat. And he does very well. His business, interestingly, is mostly custom work that the big Michael Hills don't provide. Because you go
ooh,
into somewhere like Michael Hill, you're buying what's in a showcase.
yeah,
But as a marketer, I subscribe, no word of a lie, to 22 jewelry
yeah,
store emails.
yeah,
And they
yeah,
do not go to my domain email account because I like to hide. They
sure,
go
yeah,
elsewhere.
yeah,
So what I'm saying is, if you're in a competitive industry, marketers, subscribe to your competition's email mailing list and
yes,
find out what they're doing. And you'll
yes.
find really quickly what works and doesn't. It's the easiest way to do some competitor research, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Rob, I about 4 years ago when I started working on Backstroke, I signed up
Yeah.
for over 10,000 ecom brands, newsletters, and promotions for that very
Yep.
reason to help understand how do we create a data training set for the cadence and frequency of promotions and type of things. So that's one of the core dimensions of our software. So, but yeah, that's it's a good free way to learn all sorts of things. So it's good advice.
Yeah, you gotta kind of use sometimes think out of the box and a little bit, and and as I say, you use another account, find a Gmail account, find
Yes.
something
Yes. Yeah. Smart.
Um, we've kind of covered a lot, which is great. I'm glad to hear you're doing really well. Interesting enough, you mentioned Cozy Earth. They're one of the biggest podcast sponsors out there too. They're on everything under the sun, it seems lately. They're
Yeah.
up there with BetterHelp. I think I listened to a survey the other day. BetterHelp was the number one
Oh.
podcast spender. They're the mental health
Uh-huh.
counseling service, right? And I
Yeah.
think Cozy Earth was in the top 10 in
Oh,
terms
wow.
of podcast sponsorship. I was thinking the other day, I listened to a show called The John Deloney Show. He's a mental health professional on the Ramsey Network, and they're one of his big sponsors. So I know them
Yeah.
well. Um, they're an interesting brand. They've done really well.
Hmm.
We've seen a lot, if funny, in mattress companies being online of lures. They're everywhere.
Yes, yes.
And some of them have gone even back into retail. So they started online and then
Hmm.
they've gone back and done retail partnerships. It's interesting there
Yes,
too. Um, what's the other one that comes to mind? Hey Luggage is another one that comes to mind right away.
yes.
They've actually got a retail store in Toronto, believe it or not.
Oh,
So
oh,
they've gone back and they started online.
yes,
It's just interesting to see the shift. It used to be um, retail first and online. It's now going the other way around. It's
yes,
just
yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, I see the same thing. Yeah, they're looking for more distribution in those established channels. Makes sense. In those malls, Rob, that you don't like to go to.
Yeah, Amazon's doing some of that too, by the way. They've got some
Oh,
stores
really?
out
I
there
have not.
now. Yeah. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. If somebody wants to find out more about you, more about the company, talk to you about doing some work for their brand, how's the best way?
Yeah, we're just at backstroke.com. You can check us out. You can see a demo, or you can schedule time to do a live demo and ask all the questions you have about AI there.
Yeah. RJ, thanks so much for joining and sharing your expertise as always. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a great day. This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to RJ Taylor for joining me on this edition of the STM Show. The STM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.